It is my pleasure to introduce, from Las Vegas, Nevada, USA, Maureen Zappala. Do you ever think you're not as smart as everyone thinks you are? Do you second guess your professional abilities, even though others see you as competent and successful? Well, you're in the right place. Maureen Zappala knows exactly how you feel. She's a former NASA propulsion engineer with 13 years of experience conducting jet engine research. Yes, she's a rocket scientist. Today, she's an award-winning keynote speaker, author, and mom to 2 adult children. In fact, she says raising kids was harder than rocket science, way harder. At NASA, she often thought, I'm not as smart as everybody thinks I am. I feel like a fraud. It was impostor syndrome, the confidence crisis that could be holding you back from your greatest potential. Today, you'll learn strategies to match your confidence to your competence and unleash your influence. Please help me welcome, all the way from sunny Las Vegas, Nevada, author, speaker, and enthusiastically average ballroom dancer, Maureen Zappala.
Think back to the first day of your first full-time job. Do you remember how you felt? I do. For me, it was 1983, and I was just 22 years old. And you're doing the math, aren't you? You're thinking, wow, she looks pretty good for 63. Well, it's because I don't apply makeup, I install it. But in 1983, I was a brand new engineer fresh out of college at my first full-time job at NASA. Wow, go big or go home, right? I was hired as a project engineer at the Lewis Research Center, just outside of Cleveland, Ohio, in the Propulsion Systems Lab. It's a jet engine test facility. We called it PSL. Now, this was my dream job. So I was beyond excited, but oh my gosh, was I terrified. Because it's NASA, where the rocket scientists are, and I thought, oh, I'm not that smart. See, I had graduated from the University of Notre Dame. Can we have a moment? Great school, fun school, and I was not a straight-A student. And I thought, did NASA notice that on my transcript? I remember thinking, what were they thinking when they hired me? Oh, wait, I know. In 1983, NASA needed more women. Now, my first assignment in PSL was simple. Observe the crew conducting an engine test. How hard is that? Show up, shut up, don't screw up. I walked into the control room, and it looked like a scene from Apollo 13. Imagine a room with walls, with TV screens and monitors, counters, keyboards, clipboards, people on headsets focused on their work. There were about 18 people in the room, all of them way more experienced than I was, and I thought, oh, I don't belong here. There was one empty seat in the corner of the room. So I went down, plopped myself into it, began to do my job. Now, I had no clue what was going on, but I pretended. And then the unthinkable happened. I got the hiccups. 18 heads snapped in my direction. It was as if I could hear every single person think, who's she? Who let her in? She doesn't belong here. Now, maybe you're thinking, really, Maureen, hiccups? You're telling a story about hiccups? Well, hiccups, the story is not about hiccups. But hiccups tells the story that so many of us tell ourselves, because I know in a room like this, filled with people that are educated and elevated and celebrated, people that are competent and qualified, focused on professional and personal development, so many of us feel like we are just a hiccup away from somebody pointing a finger at us and saying, you are a fake, a fraud, and a phony. That's imposter syndrome. The inability to internalize your success in spite of massive evidence of that success. And it leaves you feeling like you're just not as smart as everyone thinks you are. And in fact, you externalize it. You blame it on things like luck or timing or NASA needed more women. I know how that feels because that's how I felt at NASA. Thankfully, it was just feelings. The facts were, I was really a perfect fit at NASA. It was my childhood dream to be an engineer. I got good grades in math and science. I got into Notre Dame at a time when it was really competitive for women to get in because they didn't have enough women dorm space. And then when I was in college, I had some summer internships at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. And that's where I fell in love with jet engines. The highlight of my college love life. So it made sense that NASA hired me. Now, did NASA need more women? Yes. But did I bubble to the top? Yes. It's just back then I didn't believe it, and I felt like a fraud. Maybe you do too. Research shows that 75, 80, 85% of professionals have this tension where their inside emotions don't match the external data that says they're qualified and competent. I see it all the time in conversations with my clients, whether they're new employees, middle managers, or even the C-level executives. No matter the company, IBM, AT&T, Texas A&M University, qualified, competent, successful people feel like they don't deserve it. And it causes them to engage in these coping mechanisms, things like alternating between overworking and procrastinating, fear of failure and fear of success, starting a lot of projects, finishing none, refusing to delegate or even ask for help. These coping mechanisms do two things. On one hand, it helps you to alleviate the fear of being found out as a fraud. And on the other hand, it prevents you from being found as a fraud because it makes you look like a rock star. The thing is, these coping mechanisms are sucking your soul dry and causing you to live in fear. But today, that changes. Now, lest you think I made this story up, this is the scene of the crime, the hiccup heard around the world. There I am, tucked away in the corner. What else do you notice about this picture? I'm the only woman. Yeah, no pressure, right? To represent an entire gender. Now, in spite of that humiliating start, I had a fabulous career at NASA. I stayed in PSL, developed expertise in jet engine technology, was known around the world, worked on some fascinating projects, and eventually even rose to become the director, the facility manager of the entire PSL complex. However, there were still so many moments along that journey that I allowed those fraud fears to just vacuum the courage right out of me. And I lived in a silent shame for a long time until I learned about imposter syndrome, and my soul came to life, and I dove in and researched it. And as a result, today you benefit, because today you'll get some insights and a strategy to help you overcome your imposter syndrome experience. Now, there's bad news and good news about imposter syndrome. The bad news is you don't eliminate it. but you can't alleviate it. And the reason you want to learn how to alleviate it is that even though back then I thought I was not qualified, I really wish that I did. I wish I knew then what I know now. Because back then, I was so scared and so timid and so afraid of even stepping out and doing something different. But when you choose to make peace with your imposter, everything will change. So how do you alleviate it? Well, you do it with what I call the fraud-free framework. It's my 5 strategies to overcoming imposter syndrome. Now I'm going to leapfrog right over 1 and 2, and we're going to go straight to number 3, because it's the one that my audiences tell me has the most impact. Now, have you ever walked into an event, let's say a huge convention, and you look around and you think, oh wow, look at her, look, she's smarter than I am, and he's wealthier than I am, and she's wittier than I am. Everybody here is more than I am. The dreaded compare and despair. Do you do that? This will eliminate it. And it looks like this. Suppose you were to illustrate the sum total of your professional expertise with a circle. And I call it your dot. So everybody, I'm going to ask you to hold up your hands in front of you. Now, inside of your dot is your experience, your education, your expertise, all the jobs you've had, the titles you've had, the promotions you've earned, the paychecks you've received, the customer reviews you've had, the referrals, all the glowing letters of recommendation, all the things that make you who you are in your career. Now repeat after me, this is my dot. I worked hard for my dot. I'm proud of my dot. And I have a cool dot. All right, put your dot down. You should be proud of your dot. All of us have a dot that is battle-born, born out of the experiences, the choices, the disciplines, the environments that we've come from, our background, our future goals and visions. So yeah, you should be proud of your dot. And here's what happens. You walk into, let's say, a big convention with your dot, and you look around and you think, they're looking at me, and what they see on me is this. In other words, they think I'm smarter than I really am. Oh, I wish I was that smart, and I'm only this smart, and what's it like to be that smart? And if they only knew I was this smart and not that smart, they wouldn't like me anymore. And you start to live with some anxiety. And then you look around at the other people, and what do you see on them? Oh my gosh, look at her dot, look at his dot. Oh, what's it like to have a dot like that? I wish I had a dot like that. I wish I had a dot like this. My dot's only like this, and oh, I wish it was here, but how do you even get, what's it like to have a dot? And oh, now you live in the zone of fraudulence, not flatulence. Different workshop. But that's the distortion. The reality is very different. Everybody, hold up your dot. Repeat after me, this is my dot. I worked hard for my dot. I'm proud of my dot. And I have a cool dot. Now, still holding your dot up, just glance around and take a look. You'll see. You'll see everybody has a dot. Now, everybody's dot is different. It has different stuff in it, different education experience, different perspectives, and everybody's dot is battle-born and born out of experiences and choices just like yours. And everybody is proud of their dot. In fact, turn to your neighbor right now and say, you have a cool dot too. Now you can put your dot down. Not done. Okay. Far too often, we undervalue what we bring to the world. We get in the presence of other people and we immediately shrink back. But your dot is your dot. Your dot is significant, unique. Nobody's dot is any more or less significant, any more or less worthwhile, any more or less battle-born and worthy to be celebrated. Now, maybe you're thinking, well, Maureen, I get it. All right, yeah, fine, I get it, all that. But you know what? Seriously, my dot's really not that great. It's not like a big superstar dot, not like I'm a celebrity or anything. Okay, well, let's talk about some celebrities. I picked 3 celebrities. I'm sorry, I forgot to say I call it Read People because it changes how you think about yourself when you're around other people. Awkward there. All right, let's take a look at some celebrities. Celebrity number 1, LeBron James, the basketball dot, because I'm from Cleveland. Carrie Underwood, the entertainment dot, and Bill Gates, the high-tech dot. Now, do you think that if these 3 folks walked into an event, like maybe a big convention, with their dot, and looked at each other and said, oh, my dot's not that cool. I don't like my dot anymore. I wish I had a better dot, a bigger dot. In fact, I wish I had their dot. Do you think they really want to trade dots? Good grief, I hope not. It's creepy. Yet we do it all the time. Your dot is your dot. It cannot be replicated, duplicated, and certainly not traded away. Now, maybe you're thinking, okay, Maureen, I get that, but I'm not really all that smart. It's not like I'm Einstein. Well, Einstein himself said, the exaggerated esteem in which my life work is held makes me very ill at ease. I feel compelled to think of myself as an involuntary swindler. Einstein struggled with the self-doubt of imposter syndrome, which proves the presence of doubt does not mean the absence of competence. And if the greatest mind of our time struggled with doubt, guess what? We're in good company, aren't we? And if Einstein could push through his doubt and change the science world, what can you change in your world? Friends, when you make peace with your imposter, everything changes. Not only will you be excited and thrilled with what you can accomplish, but delighted with the person you'll become on the journey. No more a prisoner to self-doubt, but instead proud of your past, excited about your future, and best of all, able to see the greatness in you that is so obvious to everyone around you. Beneath your imposter syndrome mask is a person who certainly is qualified, competent, and successful, but also resilient and gutsy and powerful. It's my joy to share this with my Toastmaster friends. Oh, I said I wasn't going to get... Oh, I'm running out of time. Don't clap yet. But I will leave you with this final thought. My dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, you have a cool dot. Thank you.